Okay, and I think we're live. So rather than my normal spiel on these, something I want to talk about at the start before questions and stuff come in is people always use something with anecdote, and I'm not saying that anecdote doesn't matter and we should ignore it because obviously we can't study all these variables. And a lot of what we learn about training and everything else and coaching happens in the trenches. But examples, and even people I know do this, and I'm like, it's ridiculous. Someone had they mentioned Dorian Yates just now, a few minutes ago, when I said I made a status on Facebook. You guys can go check it out. I have all my social media down below: Facebook, Instagram, those things. Said that essentially training to failure has never been necessary to maximize hypertrophy, and that's pretty well documented in the scientific literature. Pretty well documented in the best athletes in the world. It's not necessary. There may be cases where you might benefit from it. It's not necessary, and it comes with a lot of drawbacks. But he pointed out, well, what about Dorian Yates? Wasn't he all about it? And here's the thing. So what? Like in what world do we say because some bodybuilder somewhere was about something that's evidence that it worked? And it's only because it's somewhat training related that people are considering that. It's like, had Dorian Yates told you that hopping around on one foot at the end of your workout and going floppy flew, fleet flop, flea blop, poop bop, if he was all about that, would that be considered evidence that it causes hypertrophy? What if you got the fleet flop numbers wrong? What if you did two of them instead of three? You're just completely fucked. Like it's ridiculous. I mean, I can make the argument that Dorian Yates proves that training to failure will rip every muscle in your entire fucking body 7 times. I mean, the man also had more major injuries than any other Mr. Olympia. So, we're not going to get into all that, but I mean, do you guys see the same issue? There are other guys who are bigger than him who didn't train to failure, who didn't rip 37 muscles off the bone that had to be surgically repaired. Just saying, more than one side to a story. And it's the same thing, with benching. This is one that always gets me. You get people all the time because high frequency benching is really in the IPF. And I got a friend, he'll see these. He's a coach. He's like, you need to bench with higher frequency. I'm like, I'm 45 years old. How about I don't destroy my shoulders? And he's like, but these guys all bench with a high frequency. So what? Research shows us we know why high frequency training on some lifts can improve longer at maxes. It's because you practice the movement more. But if you did the same number of sets once a week, if we look at the data, the strength is pretty much the same. So here's the thing. Does it matter that there's a bunch of guys promoting it now with elite benches? Because here's a perfect example. How many guys who have really elite benches all bench at different frequencies? In other words, I would tell you that if we were to go purely off the anecdote, then the frequency just doesn't matter. Do you know why? I've met guys who bench over 500 raw, plenty of them who only bench once a week. I know just as many who bench once a week as I do who bench 2, 3, or 4 times a week. Right? How about the fact that there's a handful that don't even bench that often? There's guys who I've seen who bench over 500 who, yeah, I bench every 14 days. Okay. So if we were to go from that total sum of the anecdote, we could argue if we just went purely off the anecdote and ignored the science, we could look at that and say, oh, the frequency probably doesn't seem to matter a whole hell of a lot. Because there's guys in all those different frequency categories. So it's just something to think about. When people bring these points up of an example of someone. All right, let's get to a couple of the questions. Hey, Jason, I've been off of lifting for 2 weeks due to vacation. Should I do a tune-up workout, or just go for it? I don't know what that means. Adjust your programming. You're going to need to reduce everything slightly. Probably both intensity, which is bar weight, and volume are going to need to be slightly reduced. Do you think Julius Maddox will bench over 800? I don't know. Hey, Jason, thoughts on low sodium chloride salts with high potassium chloride content to replace it? Well, I have those salts. You already know I use them on like my watermelon sometimes, right? I've been pretty public about that. I think they're fine. I think they're good. I'm not going to answer questions about those traits in Latino. I think that applies to everybody. I mean, isn't everyone who doesn't lift usually really skinny or really overweight these days? In North America, you think you can? I mean, can you really apply that one to any one ethnic group? I don't think that you can. Seems to be a problem in North America across the board. This might be difficult to answer, but how quickly should I expect progress as a 19-year-old bulking? I went from 1 rep at 315 to 2 reps at 315 on a squat in 1 month. Is this approximately where I should be? Yeah, I can't tell you anything based on that. It's not just difficult. Your question is impossible. It's impossible. Coach, should you try to lose weight more slowly the further along you get into a cut in order to preserve more muscle? Or you consistently lose 1% body fat a week into 12%? That's going to depend on the person. Pound of fat a week, if you're starting to get fairly lean, yeah, you're going to have a higher risk of muscle loss. Any plans for Garrett to widen his squat stance? I know you an advocate of wide stance. Over time, I would like to, but those are things that we take time to do. When are we getting more likes? There's over 3 people watching for every like. Hit that button. I'm not going to answer any questions. Hey, Jason, how long does it take to go from a 315 to a 405 bench? On average, never. That's how long. It doesn't happen. Statistically speaking, do you have any idea how rare a 405 bench is? I know it's the internet, okay? And everyone benches 405 but me on the internet, right? Everybody. Not even 1% of people will ever bench 405. Okay. Who train hard. I'm going to go out on a limb and say less than 1% of competitive power lifters who step on the platform will ever bench 405. Coach, what's your opinion on the road bench you got, plus thoughts on fat pad for bench? I think it's fine, I guess. I almost really would rather have an independent bench set up. I'd like to have just a complete bench set up eventually when I do all this in the garage in the house coming up. I don't see the point of the fat pad. What's the point? I'll ask you a question. Some people are like, well, I benched a little more with the fat pad. Well, so what? If you bench 6,000 pounds with the fat pad, but you bench 315 with the normal pad and you have to go to a meet, guess what? Your bench is 315, not 6,000. Do you still have Bag Puss? If so, will you feature him in a video? That is a weird. Like, why do you guys care? Why? I want to ask you, Dan. Why would you care about something like that? Yes, I still have him, but why? Okay, I'm not interested in bullshit. I'm not interested in trolling. This is a serious strength channel now, and it has been for a long time. I think that you need to come to terms with that fact. Hey, Jason, I'm running 531, boring but big. Oh my God. I don't know. Go ask Wendler. And I'm doing chin ups and pull ups for both the lat work slots. Do you think it would be fine to do a body weight AMRAP set once every 3 weeks to gauge progress? Well, not necessarily. You need to watch your recovery with that. But why don't you go ask Wendler? I mean, you're specifically discussing his program, right? What did he have to say about it? Jason, my man, I was hoping you go live today. What are some fitness scams you fell for when you were younger? I fell for the test boosters. Glutamine, free amino acids, all that stuff. I would say those are the big ones. I mean, we could talk about myths, but the scams, I'm assuming products, something that we bought, right? Because it's not a scam if there's no money involved. It's just bullshit. People forget that. They'd be like, this is fraud. This is a scam. No, it's just not true. It's a fraud or a scam if you paid money. But I'd say different free amino acids. What are your thoughts on no off days, legs push pull 7 days a week? I think it's really stupid. Are weighted dips for 10 plus reps a good bench press accessory? Can be. They can be. Is 531 more tolerant to an imperfect lifestyle than novice linear progression? Probably. Pete Rubish said the deadlift is the best overall exercise, that it was the only one you could do. If it was the only one you could do ever, you agree. I don't like those type of questions. Why would we only do one exercise? Now, I love the deadlift. I think it's the greatest exercise of all time. My favorite exercise, so I'm very biased towards it. But how about you not just do one exercise? Okay, that would be intelligent. Yeah, people don't understand how insane a 405 is. I know the junior bridge ranker holder in Norway, he had a 405 at 18, but he's used to the gills and back. Oh, that's not even a factor. Oh, how many guys you think use 2 grams of test who still can't bench 405? I know some. Robert Oberst said the deadlift is too risky. Yeah, well, he doesn't have a point at all. Take that bullshit somewhere else, motherfucker. Don't bring that shit on my channel being anti-deadlift. Fuck you. I will ban you next time you write something like that. Now, if you said he's wrong, fuck that guy, we'd be cool. But you just said, do you think he has a point? The fuck is wrong with you? Because it was funny when Bag Push lifted more than the trolls. Guys, come on. This is not about entertainment these days. I want to educate people and teach people. How can we get in contact with Wendler? He has a website and web pages and Facebooks and all that stuff. Hey, Jason, do you consider doing circuit machine exercises or single jointed for 10 minutes? No. Do you know how any homemade ways to dragging a sled quieter on concrete? Not really. That's going to be pretty loud no matter what you do on concrete. How would you recommend a bench press specific workout go about doing full body 3 times a week? Also, what about food? You're doing full body 3 times a week, you're a novice. Therefore, you don't need a bench specific program. Run a good novice program, right? Problem solved. You promote squatting wide because it recruits more muscle. Why don't you promote the sumo deadlift then? Isn't this a contradiction? Nope. There is ridiculous amounts of biomechanical analysis on these things. I suggest you start reading it. You can look at the comparisons on sumo and conventional, and what you're going to find is that most of the experts in biomechanics agree that the conventional deadlift actually does use more muscle. So there's your answer. Not a contradiction at all. Okay, in case you were not aware, a squat and a deadlift are not the same exercise. There are slightly different biomechanic rules between them that they don't always share. Hey Jason, I switched from push pull legs to upper lower and finding my last upper exercise to be subpar compared to hitting it on its own days. Do you have any tips how to manage this going forward? Adjust your programming. You sound like you need to hire a coach. Now, also, Mario, I should be a little more specific. There's data on the Starting Strength website on that specific topic, and I think you'll find Greg Knuckles in his, I believe, Science and Strength blog has an enormous, absolutely enormous breakdown of your question. Tony, didn't you pull this last time? I'm just going to ban you. You already know I've never claimed to be in the military. So, bye. I don't want to talk about Jared Feather and Mike Israel Tell's programming. Does old age and treachery beat youth and exuberance every time? Any thoughts on Stand Efferding's 10-minute walks after a meal? I don't think it's really based on anything. If you want to do it, do it. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking a 10-minute walk after you eat. I don't know that there's any real benefits to it other than the fact that you took a walk. If you need the walking, go for it. But is it going to interfere with your life to have to time this? Any advice for medial knee pain when doing squats, lunges, and step-ups? Thinking I have a strength imbalance due to knee moving inward during heavy squats. Yeah, you got imbalances. You need knee pain. You need to start looking at hamstring strength, right? You need to start looking also at your squat technique. You definitely need to build bigger hamstrings, and you may need to rehab whatever's going on with your patellar tendons. I have stuff about that in my client blogs, by the way. Go watch Garrett's vlogs. Camber bar, Buffalo bar, SSB for first specialty bar. I don't know what specifically do you need. I would make that specific to your needs. Sebastian Sonny. Yeah, I do remember you. I don't care that your arms are bigger. Nobody cares. This is a strength channel. It's probably a troll anyways. Oh yeah, I'm making a joke about owning a 7-Eleven, given the name. Come on, dude. How do I project body language at the gym to make myself intimidating men but attractive to women? I don't know, Charles. Work on not being a pussy. Problem solved. That's all I can say, bro. I just hit 315 bench yesterday. I think one of the most underrated pieces of advice that you really hit home about is not failing lifts in training. Yeah, it's a good idea. I try not to. It has happened on occasion. I need to be more specific, but typically for my bench specific program, I normally just do 2 workouts a week. Once I built up to 315 for single, going back, do you think twice a week? Your question's too vague. Follow a proven system, or hire a coach. All right. But you're talking about writing full body programs. I'm going to say you probably need a coach. Hi Jason, a little off topic, but would you apply for a loan on behalf of a friend who has a poor credit score? Oh hell no. Not just no, but hell no. What are some generic health checks you should be regularly getting? I don't know. Ask your doctor. Hamstring curl versus GHR, are they largely interchangeable? No, I think the GHR is superior. Rogue GHD machine worth the money for posterior chain development? Sure, I like it, but if it isn't, then get a cheaper brand like mine. My Titan one costs less than the Rogue one, pretty similar. So, if it's not worth it to you financially, but you have the space, then get a cheaper version of the same thing. Problem solved, right? I think it would be wise for you to get one. Dean, why do you keep asking me if I'm okay? That's like 6 times. I'm about to ban you for being a weird troll. I'm sleepy. Would you ever prescribe a naturally arcing squat machine as a squat accessory? No. 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 Why? Hi, Jason. Is it true bulking at a very low body fat will produce more gains due to the ultra high insulin sensitivity compared to someone at a higher body fat as a strength to weight ratio? Well, yeah, as a strength to weight ratio, sure. The other is going to be minimal, though, the other part of the question. Coach, I just found out at my gym all the straight bars were not 45 pounds, and through all my program training off, is there a way to tell if a bar is 45? Yeah, look up the individual bar. Hi, Jason. So long as we are doing 10 plus sets of pull-ups a week and plus sets on deadlifts, and 531 is direct training necessary to maximize grip strength. Thanks, Jason. Keep killing it. Harry there's no answer to that question. There's no answer to that question because it's going to depend on the person. So my question to you would be, I don't know, is it? If that's what you're doing, is your grip holding amazingly well on your deadlift and grip strength great, or is it lacking? Okay. This is why you guys got to really watch generic advice. So many of these questions really come down to it depends. And you've got to learn to think in that way. It depends. For some lifters, that will be more than enough. For others, it won't be. I can't give you the answer because it can be either situation for the individual person. Thanks for answering, Jason. You're welcome. Thoughts on the single leg press as a quad / adductor hypertrophy movement? I'm not a fan of the machine for that. Why not just do both legs? Let's get rid of this troll down here. We got to get rid of this troll. Bye-bye, little troll. Bye-bye. All right. But yeah, Raj, just do both legs. We do isolateral leg work for other reasons that really has nothing to do with the reason you do it on a leg press. And that's a more nuanced topic. But no, I would never prescribe that. Just use both legs on a leg press. Did you see that kid, that 14-year-old kid bench 455? No? It goes to show you guys how much genetics can matter, though, doesn't it? Hey, Jason, just hit an easy 402 SSB box squat 2 inches below parallel. I seem to be almost as strong on the SSB versus a straight bar. Okay. Got a strong upper back. Saw your post about the coach saying to half rep a leg press. Why are people still like that in 2022? That was a personal trainer, not a coach. There's a difference. Big difference. Yeah, people are just that dumb. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous, wasn't it? To tell someone that they're taking tension off the muscle by going too deep on a leg press. I mean, the ignorance of basic physiology. And these are people who charge money to train them. This is someone who is clearly charging people money as a trainer who would say something so profoundly ignorant. And for the unaware, the noobs out there, on that particular movement, the deeper the range of motion, the greater the mechanical tension stress. And if you go as deep as possible, you're at the highest possible mechanical tension. So the person was saying that doing something that will increase the mechanical tension the most biomechanically possible is removing tension. See how dumb that is? That's on par with, I think, the example I gave of saying, if you make as much money as you possibly can, it's going to make you poor. It's like, no, it usually does the exact opposite. Hey, coach, have you ever dealt with hip impingement and a client or yourself? If so, what did you do? Nope. No, I haven't. Jason, why do most of your clients do chin-ups / pull-ups instead of rows? A lot of them do both. And I've discussed a lot of reasons why I like the pull-up. If you have the recovery, though, and we're doing certain things with training, we would use both. Do you have a Spud Inc. belt squat belt? If so, do you load it up with a belt squat heavy? Does the belt dig into your hip? I have one, but I actually have been using the Bells of Steel one that came with my belt squat. I do have the other one, though. You got to get it sized right. That's the main thing. If you pick the wrong size, you're going to have problems. What do you think about the advice to stay in one's active range of motion? Is it okay to let the weight stretch you further, only going as deep as you could without weight? That's too vague of a question. I don't understand your question. Could you be specific? Like a specific example of what you were talking about. Thanks for the answer, Jason. I've noticed my supine hand struggling a little bit on the last rep/reps on plus sets. You suggest dead hangs to try to improve this? That wouldn't be a bad idea, yes. Jason, how do you explain to people that deadlifts aren't necessary to maximize posterior chain hypertrophy? What do you mean? Why do we need to explain that? That one specific exercise isn't necessary to maximize hypertrophy in a region? If you have to explain that to someone, then they're dumb or they're ignorant on the topic. Don't bother. I love deadlifts, though, and they'll help with that. And everyone should be deadlifting, in my opinion, who can. Would you be interested in coming on the Graham Stevens show? Dean, I don't know if I need to ban you for trolling or not because I don't know who that is. Right? I have no idea who that is. I've never heard of this person. Could someone tell me who Graham Stephan is, or and if this guy's trolling me and I need to just get rid of him? Because I've never heard of this person. Hey, coach, I'm getting a slight pain above my elbow bone. Is it tendonitis or something else? I don't know. That's not anywhere near enough details. I don't know what's going on with your elbow. Possibly. First attempt I joined, the trainer did not want me to exceed parallel on the bench. Yeah, that guy's an idiot. On one, and stuff's getting buried. Got a tour of my local gym yesterday. I was amazed to see only 4 squat racks and 1,000 bicep curl machines, which is insane, right? Like, why would you even need a machine for the bicep of all things? It's such an uncomplicated muscle. Thanks, Jason. I am zeroing in on potential quad weakness. My left quad is a good bit smaller than my right one. Is it due to atrophy when I used to walk with a cane? Okay, we'll build it up. Squat should sort that. How important is direct to oblique training? I don't know. What do you guys mean by direct? Because people like to use that word, and I've never figured out an actual standard definition of direct. It seems to mean a lot of different things. Someone at my work claims to have deadlifted 445 in his first day in the gym. What's the likelihood of this being true? His first day in the gym? Pretty unlikely. Now, if he already had a strength base and tried the deadlift, very possible. I actually hit a 455 my first time deadlifting. I've told you guys that before. Dean, you said, how is that trolling? It's trolling because I don't know who these people are. And you know that I don't know who these people are. I don't watch other, people tell me he's a YouTuber. Dean, I don't watch other YouTubers, so how would I know who this guy is? It's like, I don't know what sort of person you're trying to put me on their show. Is he going to pay me to go on this show? Like, am I going to get money for it? I'm not going to do it for free. I got better shit to do with my time. Hey, coach, I've heard about some powerlifters benching 4 to 6 times a week. What do you think about that? Steve-O, how about you go watch the first 5 minutes of the podcast over? When I try to pull a broomstick to my chest with retracted shoulders and it stops 1 to 1.5 inches from touching, should I translate this active range of motion to benching, possibly using a bench block? No, absolutely not. Go ahead and bench. Although, you might need a different grip width. I think coach would actually be a good economist if he took the time to research for a couple of years. Why? It's not what I want to do as a profession, Benny. That's kind of dumb. Like, why would I want to do that? I'm a coach. I don't want to be an economist. A lot of things any of us could be good at if we went and studied and got a degree in. By direct oblique training, I mean side bends, trunk rotations, and anti-rotation movements. I don't do any of those. I don't even prescribe them. Coach, my ex is crazy, but has offered me to train her in her home gym. What do I do if the money is good and I don't have a lot of other clients? I don't think you should. She's your ex and she's crazy. Really worth it? Hey, coach, even though concentration curls are inefficient according to EMG studies, why did so many old school guys use them and swear by them for the bicep peak growth? Think about the fact that those guys think you can specifically grow the peak. That already tells you they're ignorant. So the answer to the question is already in there, isn't it? Because they're ignorant. That's the reason. That's the reason why, because you ask why. Because they're ignorant. If my goal is hypertrophy, should my main focus be volume? I'm not even going to bother to answer that. Any replacement for a glute ham raise? Not necessarily. I'm not saying you have to train that function, but there's not really a true replacement for it, in my opinion. The reason it exists. Test sub-Q injections 4 times a week. No. Why would it lower estrogen? That is a weird forum myth, right? Why are you that obsessed with lowering your estrogen? Why does it matter to you? Is it going to be worth the abscesses you tend to get from sub-Q, which tends to be what a lot of people I know have run into? Not sure if he pays, but I know that for some people he are featured on his pod. Well, Dean, I don't. If these aren't people looking to hire a strength coach, I don't see how this helps me. Charles, I don't want to get into all what my first lifts were. My first bench, I was struggling to do reps with the empty bar. Keep in mind, I already had a 405 squat the first time I tried a deadlift. Coach, do you prescribe the hip thrust to your clients? A few of them on occasion. I don't use it that often these days. In what situations would you prescribe planks or weighted planks for clients? And some of them just for extra ab work. You want to change things up. Hey, Jason, do you have any advice for a 36-year-old working a physical job in recovery from training? Watch the fatigue management of your programming closely, right? Remember, less is more is probably a good rule of thumb for you to follow when in doubt. Get the other areas of your life sorted, your sleep management, your nutrition. It'll help. Hey, coach, what would be a great lifetime strength level to achieve for a natty? 400 big 600 squat, 700. No, that's way too high as a great achievement for a natty. Dude, I'm going to say great achievements for most natties: a 315 bench, a 500 squat, 600 deadlift. Those are phenomenal for a natural. What are the main reasons you refuse to coach some people? Number one, they don't have strength goals. I'm a strength coach. Number two, certain red flags that make them uncoachable, certain mental issues that I've let slip through in the past that I should not have. Right? There's things like that. Certain addictions, vegan diet, those are going to be high on the list. But pretty much, I've realized at this point, after firing at least one client recently, if someone strikes me as just a fucking pussy, I'm not going to coach them. I'm not going to take them on. I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to ignore their application, or if they get through, I'm going to be like, I don't think you're a good fit. If someone is ignorant, shouldn't our goal be to educate them rather than ignoring them simply because they are ignorant? Charles, is that your job? You do understand that no person can educate the entire world on everything. Okay. So that's going to be a context individual situation. And keep in mind, some people are simply unwilling to learn. And if people are unwilling to learn, then it's not your job to teach them. I mean, it can be, but you better be getting paid for it, and it better be paid well to deal with that type of bullshit. To try to teach someone who doesn't want to learn. Doesn't matter what the topic is. Am I right in thinking you don't promote stretching before a workout as a warm-up or just stretching full stop? I don't promote stretching for the most part. Coach, what's your opinion on training arms directly 3 times a week? Why? Like, what is your actual logic behind that? Does the research show that 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is the only way to build muscle? No. Optimal protein intakes for muscle growth are actually slightly lower than that. Coach, we need more likes. The likes are pretty good relative to people viewing. I remember you said ab roller exercises bothered your shoulders, so you don't do them. But are they good to do if it doesn't bother one's shoulders? The issue is that they're no better than a lot of other movements. There's nothing special about it for your abs. Coach, why do bodybuilders? Because bodybuilders are usually fucking stupid. There's your answer. Okay. Strength training is in the 6 to 8 rep range. Do you agree with that, or is it more? That's not how it works. Alex, you already know my stance on what strength training is. I have dozens of videos on it. You develop maximum strength with very low heavy reps, preferably, even singles. And you develop your strength potential through your hypertrophy, which can be a wider variety of rep ranges. That is strength training. That is strength training. It's a combination of developing intramuscular coordination and movement patterns with heavy weights while maximizing lean body mass. That is strength training. These other things, has nothing to do with what strength training is. These are arbitrary things that these people say who don't know anything about strength. If I can bench 315 but only squat 400, is that a bad ratio? Well, I think that it is. Coach, is the best way to do grip work with isometrics, or is there any rep work for it? For improving your deadlift, isometrics. Jason, I know that Primo, EQ, VAR, and DECA are beneficial to joint health, while others like winning potentially high tests can be detrimental. Um, some of that is actually subject to debate. We were talking about collagen synthesis on those, not joint health. DECA is generally agreed upon to be pretty good for joints. Anything that's wet's good for joints, right? Anything in far as tendons go, you're looking at, does it affect tendon structures negatively? In studies, and you're looking at things like, does it also increase estrogen? Does it increase bone remodeling? Well, D-bol does both of those, so therefore it's probably pretty good for your tendons. Sebastian, which you're probably not the real Sebastian. I'm not going to give you a breakdown of how I go about firing clients. It's individual based upon the individual client. Thoughts on doing stadium steps or the Stairmaster machine on off days to get in more shape? That works with certain types of GPP. There's things that are less stressful that you could do, but there's not. I don't think those are bad choices. Do low reps have force stimulus to fatigue ratio? Not necessarily. They can. They can beat you up. It's not just about the fatigue of the systematic fatigue. A lot of times it's just they can beat your bones and joints up. And that's something we have to watch for in our overall recovery. As far as how much of them we could do, doesn't mean we need to avoid them. Do you still think face pulls are a mandatory exercise? No. Alex, here's the practical answer. Even if they could, why would you want to? I mean, when I talk about using supplemental lifts that carry over and that you could do something, it doesn't mean that it's an efficient use of your training. Will they carry over? Sure. Is it the best way to do it? No, you should probably be deadlifting. I mean, realistically, if you want a big deadlift, you should be doing some deadlifting. It's common fucking sense. Yo, JB, doing belt squats after seeing you implement them. Cool. I think they're good. I think they're a great assistance and accessory movement. First time doing 5x10 squats on squat day per Jason's recommendation. Huge quad pump, not looking forward to deadlift day. You'll get used to it. What is more sparing for joints over the long run? Higher or low reps, all else being equal. For example, doing your main squat work with 5s versus 10s. I think that you're asking the wrong question. Levin. Because even if you're getting a little bit of wear on the joints from the heavier work, that doesn't mean you should avoid the heavier work. You do need to understand that. You do understand that, right? It just means that you probably need a combination of the two. Tyler, I have no answer on your surgical recovery. I'm sorry. That's outside of my wheelhouse. Do you think free weight rowing is always superior to machine rowing? I think it is most of the time, but not always. Use some common sense. Stop looking for rules that apply in all situations. How about it? I have one right now. I had a guy who just had surgery on his arm. He is doing machine rows right now this week with the arm that isn't in a sling. So let me ask you the question. Is it always superior to use free weights? Well, clearly in his case, no. There you go. I gave you an example of an exception. Right? So we've got to be very careful when we say things like always. You got to watch that always. I sort of do no deadlift to build deadlift, as in no ordinary rep work, but I still do speed work and heavy ones. Yeah, but you're deadlift. Coach, why don't the Team Blaha members live on box squats and good mornings anymore? Some of them do, Chase. Chase, some of them do. I use more than one approach for my different clients. I still have clients who do exactly that. Just Emma's the only one you see me vlogging. She's not the only one. She's the one that's out there in public. At this exact moment, I have exactly 32 clients. What you see in the vlogs may not be an accurate distribution of what I have clients do. The vlogs are people who volunteer to do vlogs, who I think are okay to do vlogs with. Okay, that may draw certain people out more than others. Coach, no matter what I do, squats hurt my low back. Could I just substitute barbell squats with hack squats since I will never compete? I'm a recreational. No, once you learn how to squat, once you fix whatever's going on, there's a problem here. If squats hurt your low back, there's a larger problem that it would be wise for you to address. MP, I'm not going to be able to do math and compare your different lifts and figure it out, dude. I can't sit around and do math in the actual stream. If you are in good shape, can you bump up the boring but big percentage example? No, dude. You mean, are you weak and in good shape? Yeah. Do you think an advanced lifter is going to do that? Even Windler explains to you why. He's got articles explaining why. I actually agree with those articles. No, you're not going to be able to do that. I'm in good shape. I do conditioning. You really think I'm going to do 5 sets of 10 with 70% of my squat or deadlift? Have you lost your fucking mind? Coach, there is a coworker at my job who's interested in training. Recommend your channel and saw client vlogs. Do you recommend he runs 5-3-1s or starting strength? He does need to cut the. No, he needs a linear barbell program. In any of some of my free novice ones, strong lift, starting strength, those are all good choices. He shouldn't start on 5-3-1. Do you prefer leg press or goblet squats as accessory for weak squats? Yes. That's very context specific. You're looking for, again, a specific contextual answer that you want me to give you an A or a B slot for. I prescribe both. I have client vlogs who do both. So you see a problem with the question? How to avoid black and white terms leads to problematic thinking. I agree. Magnus, you speculated we couldn't find anything about specifics of depot and collagen synthesis. Given the structural similarities to EQ and the fact it produces methyl E, it makes sense. Yeah, no. Let's just go back to the other one. How about the fact that it aromatizes it all? There you go. Estrogen is amazing for your collagen synthesis. Right? There's a reason a lot of these bodybuilders, when they're dry and taking all these AIs, rip tendons off the bone all the time because their estrogen is too low. Low estrogen will fuck your shit up. But it's worth it to lose that last 1 pound of water weight to look like a 6 shredded cunt, bra, right? It's worth ripping 6 muscles completely off the bone over. Also, low estrogen means your dick won't work on top of it, by the way, for the unaware. Tearing your biceps and having erectile dysfunction is totally cool as long as you're shrink wrapped and shredded. That seems to be aesthetic bro logic, right? It really does seem to be. How fast to bulk from 161 to 170 at like 15% body fat? I don't know. I'd take my time. About well, if you're 15% at that weight, unless you're short, you're not very advanced. I'm gonna say, I don't know, 5, 6 months. There you go. Coach, my boring big sets, if my friend puts his hands on the bar for the bench, do those reps count? Nope. And you need to yell at your friend. Thoughts on walking versus cardio for fat loss, cardio born? You're trying to do cardio to lose fat isn't that great. You're going to have to look at your time investment versus that done versus saying, hey, is it easier for my lifestyle to just eat less calories? And you shouldn't be adding cardio when cutting. You should have built your work capacity up before that. You don't want to add a bunch of cardio after you start cutting. Do it while you're bulking, and then you can taper down if you need to. I did 10s at 70 for deadlift for a block, but it was more like 8 plus 2 more by the end. Yeah, dude, Jim, how strong are you? You're not going to do that at my strength level. You're going to do one set, and you're not going to want to touch a second, third, fourth, or fifth set. You're going to have an 8 plus 2, and you're fucking done. You're going to do one set. If you already did the heavy work first, the plus stuff. Is it possible to gain muscle and lose fat simultaneously on an early advanced lifter? Yeah, if your drug dose is high enough. Coach, I just want to stay current on the latest research and what's changed your opinion. Your exact prior words were every member. Chase. Bye-bye. You're just trolling me. I don't have time for it. In most cases, advisable to take a wider versus narrower leg press stance. Generally, yes. Do top powerlifters use Slen and IGF-1? Some do. Most don't, in my experience, but there are some who do, yes. So the answer is a few. Yeah, sure. Do you think most people come close to their natural limit ever? Probably not. Is it okay if I use 60% on boring but big bet? Marco, how about I just don't care what you do? Do whatever you want now. Fair enough? You just do whatever percentages you feel like on your boring but big, whatever blows your skirt up, whatever makes you fucking happy. Because I feel like I've answered this stuff ad nauseum to you. So you just do you, homie. Coach, what factors do you think that cause the bench to be the most ego lift for young men? In fact, it's an upper body lift. It's an upper body lift that you can do a lot of cheating and crazy shit on. That's it. Purple. How about you go ask Jim Wendler on his website that question? Heavy overhead press hurts neck and traps area. What could be the cause, assuming good technique? Bad technique. Hey, coach, are you investing in the stock market at all? I don't own a single penny in stocks. Not one. I eat a lot of cheese, dairy, meat, eggs, and drink milk. Is it harmful to health? Thoughts? Probably not. Morton, the meta-analysis says, no. No, not really. Meat, maybe. It depends on the meat type. All of it's in the context of your overall diet, by the way. But none of those, according to a meta-analysis, are actually unhealthy foods. Right? They don't appear to be. Eggs and some dairy seem to be cardioprotective, even higher fat dairies. That's what the data shows. Our opinion is largely irrelevant. After 10 quality sets of pressing, is doing 3 sets of JM presses Too much for the chest front delt area given it's a multi-joint tricep exercise. I think it's probably not. I do stuff like that. Coach, I do 15 sets per muscle per week, and my gym friends mention it's low volume. Dude, that's high volume. Your gym friends are idiots. That's considered to be high volume. How does strength training interfere with martial arts? Been watching some videos from Hard to Hurt, and he said to just join a JoJo close to your house, affordable and fun. Dean, I don't understand your question. All the top MMA guys are brutally strong in the weight room. So what exactly are you asking me? Would you ever put on wraps to break a wrap record? I'm not really interested. Purple, wow, what a troll. Why? How shredded do you plan to be, Mr. Blaha? I'm not worried about how shredded I plan to be. I need to be lean enough to keep winning in my weight class. So I'm gonna have to get pretty lean, but I'm not worried about a number or specific look. Just asking how to balance a martial arts, maybe judo and hemo with strength training. You probably need a coach, Dean. Dean, if you're serious about that, that's where you hire a coach. Okay, that's where you hire a coach. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and wind this down. I hope it has been informative. I love all of you guys, and I will talk to you next time.